What's going on, y'all? Oh my gosh. What's going on, y'all? It's Money, and I'm back with another episode of Reading with a Real Nigga. I know I've been gone for the past 2 weeks or so. I think I missed last week and I missed the week before, but I'm doing every other week anyways, so pretty much I only missed 1 week. Anyways, y'all don't want to hear me blabber. That's for Mondays. But anyway, y'all don't want to hear me blabber. That's for Mondays. Today, we are hopping into status anxiety. Status Anxiety is a book by Alain de Botton. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I hope I am. And basically, this book is all about status. All about the pressure we feel to be successful, all the pressure we feel to have money and to achieve status, to achieve some level of fame, to feel as if we are somebody. Because that's what is the perceived notion of everyone around in society, is that only when you become famous do you become valuable. Only when you have money is when you become valuable. Only when you have the nice cars, the nice lifestyle, the gorgeous girl, the everything. Only until you have that are you valuable. And other than that, you're worthless. That's probably an overgeneralization of what we feel, and probably a little bit more hardcore than we may feel about it, but that is the feeling that we go through on a daily basis in terms of wanting to be better and wanting to achieve something. Because it's one thing that he touches on in this book, but we all crave attention. We all crave attention from the outside world. We're all so needy for it. We all need to have eyes on us at all times, and we want to feel important. And sometimes it feels as if the only way to be important is to achieve status, which is why people chase status so much. So what Alain goes into in this book is the history of status, how status has changed over the years, and why we even feel the need to achieve status. What has led us to this point where we feel as if we're not rich, we're not valuable. And also there's going to be some solutions to it too. So as always, I don't normally go through the entirety of the book, but I'm gonna go through a good portion of it. Make sure you get a little rundown of it, and so let's jump into it. People who hold important positions in society are commonly labeled as somebodies, and their inverse, nobodies. Those without status are all but invisible. They are treated brusquely by others, their complexities trampled upon, and their singularities ignored. So it was exactly what I was just saying. A lot of people who don't have status, they feel as if they're no one. It feels as if to be someone, you have to have status, you have to achieve something great in order to feel like you are somebody. And that's why everyone feels so much anxiety over this status, because not many people achieve that. It's so few that you could even say no one achieves it. But people are craving it because they believe it's so easy for us to attain. They believe that it's just waiting, and everyone has status. Everyone is this top tier model, the top tier financial guy, whatever. Everyone believes that it's much easier to get to the top of the top than they understand that being average is fine. Being in the middle, where most people are, is fine. But everyone is trying to get to that level to feel as if they're valuable. Neglect highlights our latent negative self-assessments, while a smile or a compliment as rapidly changes the converse. Our ego or self-conception could be pictured as a leaking balloon, forever requiring the helium of external love to remain inflated and ever vulnerable to the smallest pinpricks of neglect. It was like I was saying, we don't want to feel neglected. We want eyes on us. At all times, we want eyes on us. We want to be seen by those around us. And if we're not being seen by those around us, like he said, the perfect analogy using a balloon, the balloon starts to deflate. Once you feel as if there are no eyes on you, the balloon starts to deflate. Once you feel that neglect, the balloon starts to deflate, and you start feeling lesser and lesser about yourself. A lot of times, our self-worth and our self-esteem is attached to what others believe about us. We have a hard time assigning ourselves a feeling of self-esteem. We have a hard time allowing only what's internal to be what defines us. We allow a lot of external things to define us and tell us who we are. We allow other people to decide that for us. And that is another thing that feeds into the status anxiety that we feel. Because if the people around us don't think we're great, we're not great. And that's what we believe. Our judgment of what constitutes an appropriate limit on anything is never arrived at independently. We make such determinations by comparing our condition with that of a reference group, a set of people who we believe resemble us. This is what we're getting into right here, because let me explain what I just said right there. I've said it before in one of my videos, but there was one time I was talking to my homie and we were like, I don't know how this conversation came up, but I was saying, Drake, think of Drake. He's the most popular artist of all time, and he has amassed crazy amounts of popularity, crazy amounts of fame, and everyone sees that, right? But as someone in our spot, we're not necessarily jealous of him. Like, he has that money, fame, power, all of that. We're not necessarily jealous of him, simply because he is outside of our reference group. But let's say we grew up with Drake. Let's say we grew up beside Drake. We had the same opportunities as Drake. We had the same community growing up as Drake. The same tools at our disposal to be what he is right now. And we didn't do it. Imagine the amount of envy and jealousy that you'd feel if your best friend was Drake. And people may not like to admit it. They'll probably deny it as much as they can, but you feel that level of jealousy when you know the people closest to you are doing better than you. There's a little hint of envy every time people say something that's really beneficial and you perceive it as being better than your current situation. It happens all the time because we believe that they've become more valuable than us. They've achieved more status than we have. That's what it really comes down to. I had more on that. So, we see ourselves as fortunate only when we have as much or more than those we have grown up with, work alongside, have as friends, or identify with in the public realm. That is the only time we see ourselves fortunate. So if you're doing worse than your friends around you, you're going to feel worse. If you're at level with the people around you, you'll be fine. You'll still want more, but you'll feel fine because the people around you aren't exceeding above you too much. But let's say you're above them, all you're going to get is jealousy and envy below you. We envy only those whom we feel ourselves to be like. We envy only members of our reference group. There are few successes more unendurable than those of our ostensible equals. I've touched on already what that was saying, but think about it from like when all the rappers say, oh, you got to leave your hometown once you make it. Think about all the jealousy and envy that's going through your hometown once you make it, because they're thinking, we were raised in the same place, we have the same community, we have the same tools at our disposal. Why wasn't it us? And that is why there's so much. It gets deep. We are humiliated only if we invest our pride and sense of worth in a given aspiration or achievement and then are disappointed in our pursuit of it. Our goals dictate what we will interpret as a triumph and what must count as a catastrophe. We attach a lot of our self-worth to a lot of the things that we do. You know, if someone's a sports person, you know, they'll attach their pride to the sport. They'll attach themselves to being a football player. They'll attach themselves to being a basketball player. And when they're not doing that anymore, they're lost. Think about all the retired basketball players who said, like, oh, after basketball, like, I didn't know what to do. They didn't have anything else that defined them. They didn't have anything else that really stood out in their lives that they could take advantage of and continue with even after basketball was over. Their entire lives were attached to that one thing, and now that it's gone, some people can even spiral into depression after that. And it can be attached to anything. We attach our pride to a lot of things, believing that we are that. And if that ever leaves us, then we wouldn't be ourselves. You know, we're always like, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm a therapist, I'm a boxer, whatever. We're attaching ourselves to these things. So oftentimes, whenever we lose that, which is inevitable, whenever we lose that capability, whenever we maybe lose that job, we don't know what to do, because we've invested so much into that and being that. It embodies us, which is what makes it so difficult to deal with those catastrophes when they occur. I'm having a really tough time talking today. But let's move forward. Being truly wealthy, he suggested, does not require having many things. Rather, it requires having what one longs for. Wealth is not an absolute. It is relative to desire. Every time we yearn for something we cannot afford, we grow poorer, whatever our resources. And every time we feel satisfied with what we have, we can be counted as rich, however little we may actually possess. Our desire and our for more is what leads us down this path of feeling inadequate, feeling that we haven't achieved our goals. Think about what everyone longs for. Everyone longs for the luxury lifestyle, not having to work. Everyone longs for that, but it's never something they're going to achieve. It's crazy because people have a roof over their heads, a family, a loving wife, great kids, a stable job, a great car, a way to get to work, food in their fridge, and they still want more. They still want more. You have everything that you need. You have all that you need. And one of the things that he was talking about in this book, which was such a big portion of it, was how fast that we've progressed in terms of inventions and in terms of society. Things have progressed so fast. We've become so used to improvement and change because the world has been moving so rapidly, which is why we always need the next best thing, because what's coming out is supposed to be better than what we have now. It's putting us in this endless hamster wheel of chasing after things that sometimes we will never even get. But we see it and we believe that we need it. I'm not sure how well I'm remembering it, but I know there was a part when he was discussing, think back to the Native American tribes. There were Native American tribes who were here living off the land, simply just living off the land. They didn't need anything. They traded, they bartered, and they had everything that they wanted. The Americans come over, or the British come over, and they bring around these riches, these things that the Native Americans have never seen before. It's beautiful. They've never seen this type of, gold, silver, whatever it was. And they get hungry. They realize that there's more. They were limited to believe that what they had was all they needed. But then once they saw that there was an improvement somewhere else, that there was something better, they got hungry. And that became their demise because they wanted all that stuff and they traded their land for that stuff. They traded their land for that. Think about that. They traded their land for these better items, thinking that it would improve their lives and make them feel better, and it was their demise. So think about how many people they chase these things. They chase the luxury lifestyle. They chase having the cars. They chase all the whatever they need, and somehow they still feel empty. Somehow they still feel empty, and they don't know where they went wrong. They have no clue where they went wrong. There are two ways to make a man richer: give him more money or curb his desires. Curbing your desire is what's going to lead you to being able to be satisfied with what you have. Curb your desires. Understand that there is a baseline for what you absolutely need. And once you hit that, you don't need anything else. Be okay with the baseline. There's another book that I read, The Paradox of Choice, which is actually right here. I hope I don't drop it. The Paradox of Choice, and it talks about maximizers and satisficers. Maximizers are always looking for the best of the best. They're always trying to get the cream of the crop. And sometimes they find themselves on a never-ending cycle of chasing after something, getting it, and wanting the next thing. And then it comes down to the satisficers, who are fine with status quo. They're fine with being average. Good enough is good for them. All they need is good enough. Now, I'm not explicitly saying that it's better to be a satisficer than it is a maximizer. But understand that there are pros and cons of each. There are pros and cons in each. Sometimes you need to be a maximizer. Sometimes you need to be a satisficer. Sometimes you need the best of the best. But most of the time, good enough is good enough. Simple as that. By fostering unlimited expectations, they keep open permanent gaps between what we want and what we can afford, between who we might be and who we really are. Those constant gaps. Always looking for better, always looking for more. Try to find a way to be satisfied with what you have, because you're leading yourself down a terrible path if you're going to continue chasing things that most people never even get. Our emotions are just as apt to push us toward indulgence, uncontrolled anger, and self-destruction as they are towards health and virtue. Think about that. I like that. I think I'm going to use that for my next Wednesday video. Our emotions can push us in either way. We can go either way. 9 times out of 10, we have a predisposition that starts us closer to a different end of the spectrum, but our emotions can push us either way. Good emotions can push us to health and virtue. Bad emotions can push us to overindulgence and anger. Think about the emotions that you want to feel. This is not something that was necessarily touched on in the book, but our brain has so much power. There's so much power up here. Understand that. Understand that if you are able to be aware of the feelings that you feel, you are able to change them. Because once you are able to identify an emotion, from that point forward, you are choosing to feel that emotion. You can. It's not going to be always easy, because imagine you feel as if, imagine you realize you're depressed. It's not always going to be easy to dig yourself out of it, but it's possible. It's possible to do so. It's so easy to go into the negatives. But if you fight hard enough, it's almost as easy as getting yourself into the positives. It's going to be tougher because our brains are hardwired to be pessimists. We're by nature pessimists because we're trying to survive. Our bodies are trying to survive. We always have to think there's danger for the chance of survival. Think of our ancestors. They were probably on high alert at all times because there could have been an animal that was going to come eat them. And we haven't changed that much since then. I hate to get into that little bag right there, that little pocket, but we haven't changed too much since then. We've been on this planet for our species probably billions, of years. I don't really know. I'm not good with anthropology, but we've been here for a long time. And change, like genetic change, the things that are true to our nature don't change as fast as we think they do. So we're a lot like our ancestors than we might think. Asking ourselves whether what we want is really what we need and whether what we fear is truly what there is to fear. That's all I'm going to say right there. And we got 2 pages left. Oh, this is good. This is a great thing that I'm going to end off on this, because it's talking about, the last one was a solution. These are solutions that he was suggesting for people. But this one was discussing the opinions of others, because obviously we carry so much the opinions of others carry immense value in our lives, as much as we don't want to admit it. A lot of people like to say, "Oh, I don't care," yeah. But the value of other people's opinions is strong in our minds. It's very strong in our minds. And he was giving away, which actually really helped me personally to avoid feeling that way. So let's start. When we begin to scrutinize the opinions of others, we stand to make a discovery at once saddening and curiously liberating. We will discern that the views of the majority of the population on the majority of subjects are perforated with extraordinary confusion and error. Public opinion is the worst of all opinions. Basically, there's a lot of idiots on the planet, and you care about their opinion. There is a lot of people who don't know their left from their rights, and you're sitting there worried about whether they think that you look good or not. There are so many idiots around you. So many. One can be certain that every generally held idea, every received notion will be an idiocy, because it's been able to appeal to a majority. For something to become consensus, it has to appeal to the majority. So there's millions of people who believe the same thing, and it's like, let me think of something. It was like that old fitness myth where it said like, oh, if you eat at night, you'll gain a lot of weight. Think about how many people believe that. People still believe that. I know a doctor who believes that. A doctor who believes that. Think about how dumb we are. We're all idiots. We're all just going around here, just around life, and we care about. And there's people who are just, and we care. We care. You could be outside, being nervous to do whatever, and there's a crackhead looking at you. But like, not in terms of like you could tell they're a crackhead, but they're a crackhead. You know what I mean? And it's like, why do you care about their opinion? So one thing I've started to do is like, whenever you feel that type of, I feel as if people are looking at me weird, people are judging me. Think about the fact that they're probably all stupid. Think about the fact that they're all probably just stupid. It's like, these idiots don't know any better than me. It's like, dude, think about it. The approval of others may be said to matter to us in two very different ways. Materially, because the neglect of the community can bring with it physical discomfort and danger, and psychologically, because it can prove impossible to retain confidence in ourselves once others have ceased to accord us signs of respect. Only that which is both damning and true should be permitted to shatter our self-esteem. So what people say, only if what people are saying is congruent to what is actually true, should you really let it affect you. And 90% of what people say about you, or say to you, or say around you, pertaining to you, is bourgeois and bullshit. I should have just said bullshit, but either way, 90% of it. Stop caring so much what the perception of you is, because a lot of those perceptions are different, and a lot of those perceptions aren't true. You can talk to two different people about yourself. One of them will say you're a lying asshole. The other one will say you're the best person they've ever met. What are you? Are you? You can't necessarily be both. So what are you? What you believe to be true is what is true. Your opinion matters over everything else. We will gradually become indifferent to what goes on in the minds of other people when we acquire an adequate knowledge of the superficial and futile nature of their thoughts, of the narrowness of their views, of the paltriness of their sentiments, of the perversity of their opinions, and of the number of their errors. We shall then see that whoever attaches a lot of value to the opinions of others pays them too much honor. Think about how much honor you're giving the people that you're saying, like, oh, their opinion matters more than mine. I'm scared to post content online because of the opinion of others. You're making it so that their opinion is more valuable than your chances of achieving the goals that you want to achieve. Isn't that crazy? Ain't that crazy? So sit with that. I'm going really long. I'm almost at I'm at 27 minutes right now. So I don't want to get too crazy and too deep, because I still got to edit this. But anyways, status anxiety. If y'all want to read this, please do. Like, please do. There's a lot more that I didn't necessarily get into. A lot of it is like history, so he brings it all together and it culminates into what I was talking about. So I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, I will be back in 2 weeks with this, just so I don't, stumble over my feet and anything. But yeah, I tried to read, because a lot of the books I've read are like psychology books. I tried to read a sales book like the other week. I can't do it. So I can't do it. So I don't know if I'm ever gonna be getting into anything other than like psychology books. I mean, I want to, but I couldn't bring myself to reading a whole sales book. I got maybe like a third of the way into it, but there was other books I wanted to read. But appreciate y'all rocking with me, and I will talk to y'all soon.